As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be
Oh
a
man,
home
it's
run.
8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a...
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
Brav Bros. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brav Bros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody, for whoever wants to listen. I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Shooter Magooter. What's up, dude?
Feeling good on this beautiful fall night. Finally getting a little breeze in here. It's nice to open the windows, get a little fresh air.
I'm going to crack open all of my windows tonight, try to get some fresh air up in this bad boy. But it's a beautiful day because the weather's nice. Phillies won the NL East for the first time in 13 years. Is it 13 or 11?
13. It was 2011.
Years.
Yeah. 2011.
That's where it was. Thank you. And Victory Tuesday, the Birds won. So it's everybody's winning in Philly. It's a good time to be a Philly fan.
It sure is. I was gonna say, do you remember when we first started and the crickets out back of your house were fucking insane, and our sound equipment used to pick it up all the time, and you used to just wake up? I used to get texts from you at like 4:30 a.m. Dude, it took me so long to try to scrub this, like on the fly, learning how to do this, sound engineering, just to try to get the crickets out. That's crazy.
Yeah, we started right behind me. If you're watching on YouTube, through this window right here is the sunroom. That was the original Studi Bro. And yeah, the windows in there are pretty thin. So at night during the summer, because we started the podcast in May?
I think it was May or June,
Yeah, so June, July is peak cricket season around here, and them bastards were singing, and it was just ever so slightly on the audio. The entirety of the podcast, you could hear crickets chirping. This was before I had any experience in quote unquote sound engineering. That makes it sound way better. So I appreciate that. Thank you for calling it that. I still don't really know what I'm doing. I've gotten better at it. Now I know how to get that out fairly easily. I didn't know back then. So it took me forever. I also used to use GarageBand, which is not easy. Yeah, fucking nightmare. The whole thing sucked. We have since upgraded. But yeah, those were the days. Times were simpler back then in the sunroom, you know? But we are here to talk to you guys about OC. The season is, I'm not even going to say heating up because it's been hot the whole time. It's just, I want to continue to give it credit when we recap these because it's been such a stellar season. And I think that the shock and awe of going after Shannon has finally subsided a little bit. It doesn't feel as gross anymore because it just feels so played out and ridiculous at this point. And Alexis is trying to now play victim, not only on Watch What Happens Live, but also literally on the show as we're watching. She's already starting to change her tune into, oh, fuck, I think I overextended myself here. So the dark stuff is no longer crushing me every episode. I'm not getting pissed off about it.
Good.
And everyone's firing on all cylinders. Gina continues to be a fucking crapshoot, which has been a blast. Emily's had a phenomenal season. She's been up, down, left, right. She's bringing a lot to the table. She's been great. Tamra has held her own. As always, she does what she does. I don't like her. You don't like her. But we can both admit, pivotal to the show. She's done a nice job. Jenn, sleeper. Jenn's been my favorite this season, I think.
Jen's been by far the most real. The fact that she's able to go through money problems, family problems, a divorce proceeding with other money like being involved for not even, I don't want to call it a custody battle. My brain is mush right now. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, she has shown so much of her personal life. And really, when you have that much going on with one person on a show, that gives the rest of the people on the show just free reign to just have as much drama as you want, because every time that we go back to Jenn and it's a Jenn alone moment, and we're going to see a lot more of that towards the end of the season with Ryan.
Oh yeah.
It brings us back to earth. And then we can go do the fancy shit. We can go do the crazy shit with Alexis, the wackadoodle shit, as you will.
Yeah.
You can go do all of those things. And they're not like, somehow, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because Jenn is so nice, but watching her go through all this, obviously we both feel pretty heavy for her. But it doesn't feel like dirty for us watching it. You know how it has in the past?
Yeah.
We watch those things. We watch breakups. We watch like weird family situations, and it makes it feel wrong when we're watching.
We shouldn't be watching this.
Yeah, but it's almost like Jenn wants to bring us into that, and Jenn wants us to be there for her, and we are there for her. So it's really weird, and it's one of those seasons that just, and I know people are always going to say, go back to the early seasons, that's absolute chaos. And I have been watching a lot of the earlier seasons for OC, and it is fucking chaos. But this seems, for now, for the modern day housewife show, this is the blueprint. You have a little bit of family stuff, a little bit of inter marital stuff, and then just absolute chaos throughout. And everybody's holding their own. Everybody's doing something in their own way. And it's really enjoyable to watch. It's one of those things that I don't know why, but I look forward to Watch What Happens Live right after the show now, where I'm like, okay, I'm building in an extra 25 minutes into my watch schedule. Because us, we don't really watch it live. We watch the next day on Peacock because we hate commercials. Yeah.
We're Peacockers.
Yeah, we're the cock gang. You don't like that one?
Nope. No? Well, it's Peacock. It's not just it's Peacock. You can't just take the first part of it out because you think it's silly. That's a different thing entirely. That's not clever.
Somebody Google that and let me know.
What would they gain from Googling that? I'm not even gonna repeat it.
It would just be funny for me to know that somebody's out there.
And then screenshot it and tag us.
No, don't do that. Leave us out of it.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Leave us out of it. But no, I'm looking forward to watching Watch What Happens Live because it's typically like this past week it was Heather, and then you had Alexis the week before, and we watched that whole shit show with her and Johnny J in the crowd. Like, it adds to the allure of the show, and I feel like we don't get that every time that a franchise comes around. So it's nice to watch.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is what the drama has been, other than the obvious dark cloud hanging over it with the Shannon stuff. I mean, it's real drama, but at the same time, there's some petty shit going on. The paparazzi thing with Katie and Gina and Heather's dumb, but it's funny. And seeing the fallout from that has been nice. Not nice, but just enjoyable to watch. The stuff with Emily that we get into this episode's a real issue for her. That's something that affects her, but none of this stuff feels like end of the world shit. And I get that the Shannon stuff is, but I feel like when we've watched other franchises, when they get stuck to that end of the world stuff, the really dark stuff, it overtakes the entire season. This had a potential to do that with the Shannon stuff because it was so heavy, and yet they've still done a great job of not making that the center point. That's not the main focus of this season. They've been able to put in other things to keep it enjoyable, to keep it light, to have those funny moments, those reprieves in and out. They've done a great job. And this is a show that we fucking hated last year. So hats off to them. But they've done a nice job. And I credit where credit's due, especially with a franchise that, historically we have not been a huge fan of. So bravo, no pun intended, to the RHOC cast. But let's get into it. Let's start out. And I don't want to harp on this scene for long. I just need to touch on it briefly because I know damn well, those of you that follow us on Instagram know that I take a lot of pride in my garden. If some random person walked by and stole some of my fruit or vegetables, I'd be really pissed. And Gina just steals lemons. Like it's ho-hum. Like, I'm just going to snag these lemons from my friend Alexis. Don't take or my friend Shannon. Ooh, can't get those mixed up.
Whoa.
Don't be stealing
big mix
lemons.
up there. And I love,
that's a bad mix up.
I love that she's like, at least I didn't take 9 of them. Like, that's not an option. You're not taking 9 of them. That would be crazy.
No,
there was like 20 in that tree tops. Yeah.
Right. You already took a 4th of them. If you take 9, it's ridiculous. But don't steal people's lemons. God damn it. No. But anyway, the only thing that happens that scene is we find out that Shannon's getting ready to head to St. Louis, or she did head to St. Louis. She gets back from that trip. She has another show with Vicky. Oh no, I take that back. She's going to St. Louis with Vicky this episode. They do a quick Sonoma recap, but it's all stuff that we've talked about. I want to jump right to Emily, Jenn, and Katie. And they're having coffee, and this comes into the family issues that Jenn's going through. And I agree with you. Something that Jenn's done really well this whole season is bring us into her shit. And she has a lot of shit going on, but the way that she's gone about it, people want to say that she doesn't have her shit together. People want to say that she's in over her head. I think she's handled it all in stride, honestly. Like, she's done a good job of not panicking, trying to pick herself up off the ground. The thing that I enjoy about Jenn the most is the self-awareness, looking at her situation at home, because I'm talking about the kids now, and her son Dawson, who's kind of a rebel, not coming home on time, missing curfew, wondering why there's all these rules in place now. And she even says, it's my fault. I didn't drop the hammer. And now he's running like rampant. and I need to figure out how to reel him back in and drop the hammer on him. And I'm like, that you took responsibility for it. You're attempting to correct it. Same thing with what you're doing in your life. I mean, going with Ryan's not the best option, but it was probably the only option you had. But to her credit, she's attempting to fix the things she fucked up. And I think it's endearing, honestly. I think that she deserves more credit for how she's handled herself.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think that she's been taking responsibility this entire time, and she could have easily not taken responsibility this entire time, especially with the finances. She immediately says, yeah, should I have just put all of my trust in the guys that I was with and not learned financing, not learned how to be an adult, and just kind of went through life like, ho hum, somebody's going to take care of me? Yeah, I probably should have, but I'm going to make sure that my kids don't do that. Right. What was I supposed to do in this situation? Like, yeah, I guess I was at fault here. She's taking all of the responsibility, and it's not even a situation where she's taking so much that it's like, all right, maybe this is her shtick. This is just genuine with a J, if you will.
Genuine.
Yeah. It truly is, though. And every turn where something pops up in her life, and look, this year is brutal for her. She's going through so much, and we still haven't seen the end of it. But it seems like every time that she does something, she's trying to do it for the betterment of her family, and something else pops up. Something else goes wrong. There's another twist, and she's handling it with grace, and she's talking to people. And I'm just happy now that we at least have a good group with Katie, who seems very understanding, who understands obviously a lot of the divorce situation, that having kids in different places, that want to be in different places all the time. You have Emily, who's just an understanding person across the board. I know that she hasn't been with the financing, and she even took a little shot here talking about like, yeah, should I be worried that Jen's going to pay for coffee? It's like, well, first off, Emily, it's not coffee. You guys all got breakfast. So
yeah. So you really ran up the bill.
Yeah, and it's fucking avocado toast in LA. Like, all right,
$30.
That's going to be at least $35. So no, it's not just coffee. So maybe back off a little bit. But still, I feel like this is a good group for her to talk to, and everybody seems understanding about it. Everybody's backed off of Jenn. Tamra doesn't have her in her sights anymore. She's allowed to just flourish and just do the things that she's doing. And it seems like people genuinely like her too, which is really nice too, because she can actually have people to talk to instead of everybody just thinking about themselves. You know, aside from Alexis, everybody isn't thinking about themselves, and they're looking to help. So that's good.
Yeah, it is. And Alexis has lost her goddamn mind. She's not even on the same planet as us anymore. But we find out that the attorney called Shannon, and this is where blackmail starts coming into it. The ladies are finally like talking about extortion to the point where Emily is Googling the definition of extortion. And this is the first time they've really talked about it, which I'm glad they are. And it's crazier to me that the call from the attorney confirms it. It's like, yeah, we're holding on to these videos for blackmail in case she goes off the rails. We need to have some kind of defense. I don't understand how there's not a countersuit. I don't understand. And look, I know nothing about the law, and I'm sure we're going to get messages from actual lawyers and people that work in law that are going to be like, well, this is why, and break it down, which I would actually appreciate, because I don't understand. By definition, according to Emily and Webster's Google, that's extortion and blackmail. And they're literally saying we're holding on to this just in case we need to use it. So I'm confused why there's no countersuit. The attorney said to her, they're holding on to it to blackmail you. They're also moving forward with the lawsuit. You can expect the summons in, a week or whatever the fuck it is. I don't get it. Again, not a law mind.
No,
that doesn't make sense.
The confirmation of extortion is crazy. Like,
yes.
logic has to prevail at some point in the law, I would imagine. I mean, a lot of people talk about how the law is a little bit weird and nuanced and whatever, but logic has to prevail at some point. And if somebody cops to the idea that they're extorting someone else, in case I think the quote was that Shannon might go off the rails.
Yes.
Okay. Keep it in your back pocket. Like, that's fine if you have those things. Like, obviously it's really bad, but if from a lawyer standpoint, you have them in your back pocket, you don't talk about it, you don't put it into the court record. That's insane to me. So I just don't get it. I don't understand how they were able to talk about it in the court proceedings or before them. And also the fact that they're
proceedings.
And to talk about it on national TV is even crazier to me.
That's what I'm saying. I hope it does turn into a countersuit and they just use the season as evidence. That would be really funny. The idea of a jury sitting there and watching an episode of Real Housewives of OC.
Oh, yeah.
And being like, see, this is where they reference it.
Before? That's
it
probably
has to
before.
have.
I'm sure it happened before.
In the long list of housewives cases that we have seen over the years, there's no way.
I'm thinking
that
either
a clip.
The most lawsuits, probably either Jersey or like Atlanta. That must have happened at some point.
Jersey, definitely. I don't know if Teresa, they could have shown some of Juicy Joe.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, for sure. That's 1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that would be so funny to me. Just like, and if you'll tune in, this is season 3, episode 2. Here's him admitting to it.
Here's video evidence. Why is this so clear? And who edited this? Bravo.
They're captions. They're captions. But we move on to Emily's dress. And this was a sticking point for her. And I agree. There's some subtleties here where, and we're going to talk about it more later when Heather gets involved. But the bottom line is she's worked her ass off, literally, to get to a point where she's comfortable with her body, where she feels proud about the work that she's put in. She looks fantastic. She looked great before, but she looks great now, and she's worked really hard to get there. So these little things, and this is coming from somebody right here, this guy that has body image issues, had body image issues, so I understand. And she's just going through some of the steps to get there, like the size 12 dress that rubbed her the wrong way. The fact that she came out in the white shirt and then she had to bring her own jeans. Everyone else had their own pants provided to them by whoever was providing the fashion for that evening. And Emily even acknowledges, and this is important, especially when we get into shit later, she doesn't think it was malicious. It's just being unaware to it. And that's what I figured was happening too. I didn't think that Heather was trying to fat shame. I didn't think she was trying to single her out. I think that when she went through it, she didn't acknowledge, or she doesn't even realize or recognize, like, hey, this could hurt or sting a little bit because it's exclusion. You don't think it is because you're not thinking about it. You're worried about the show and just getting your outfits, all of those things. But this will sting when she is the only one there that has to bring her own clothes, when her dress is a lot of sizes bigger than everybody else's, all of those things. I can see how that would just kind of sit in the back of your mind, especially when you've been somebody that's been self-conscious.
Yeah. And what I don't really understand from any of that, and I fully agree with you. I think that what Emily was just trying to get across is her feelings. This is how she feels. And she's been super open about her body image issues. She talks about it in her confessionals. She talks about it with her friends. She talks about it on the show all the time. So for Heather to be completely ignorant to that is a problem in itself, especially when you're doing a fashion show where all of your friends are up there wearing things that are for, I can't remember the name of the woman either. It's Susan something that was running the fashion for that night.
B. I feel like
Bead.
Braden. Bread.
I can't break bread.
Bruh.
That's what they need to do. They need to break bread after all of it. But but no, Emily has been very outspoken about all of those things. So again, yes, when Heather is ignorant to all of those things, that's a problem within itself. But what I don't understand about the jeans specifically, and even when we talk about this later, Heather's response is that every girl has on a different style, a different set, whatever. And you can look across, you can see somebody has leather pants on, somebody has a dress on, somebody has black pants on, somebody has some crazy, if you look at Gina's pants when she's at that pool party later, that look like a fucking disco ball. Like, people have crazy pants on. So it made sense for a split second where I thought to myself, okay, she has everybody wearing different styled pants. And Emily drew from the list of names, she drew jeans. Fine. Nobody else stepped up and said, oh yeah, Heather reached out to me and told me to bring my leather pants. Heather reached out to me and told me to bring my trousers. Everybody had their own given to them by this other person, this Susan person. So Heather didn't acknowledge any of that. Emily didn't quite get there, but she was kind of breaking down a little bit, and she just wanted to be heard. And she just wanted Heather to say, I hear you. I understand. Maybe not even a full apology, just like I understand what you're saying right now. And I'm really sorry that, you feel that way. It's not like, if you truly believe, and I don't think that Emily thinks that Heather did anything malicious, and I don't think Heather thinks that she did anything malicious either, you can go through the motions of supporting your friend without feeling like you're being attacked or accused of something. Just be like, oh, I'm so sorry that you feel that way. That's really fucking hard. I didn't want to put you in that position, but Heather never got there because Heather doesn't do that sort of thing. So starting with this, when they're doing the sit down and everybody's, obviously responding the correct way, with Katie and Jenn sitting there, responding the correct way to Emily, who's going through body image issues. Yeah. I mean, that's what you want from Heather later, and Heather just doesn't give that to you.
No, and we'll get into it more when we get to that scene, but it's a great breakdown. And that's exactly what, when you put the two scenes side by side, that's exactly what you look at. On the one hand, Emily and Jenn are like, or sorry, Jenn and Katie are understanding of, I can see why that would suck. I'm sorry.
Giving her space.
That's all you need.
Time to talk. Yeah.
But on the flip side, and I'll save it for later, that's what you don't get. You get
you get the Looney Tunes thrown into all that bullshit.
You get the wackadoodle out of nowhere, so that doesn't help anything. But yeah. Well, we move on, and you get a quick glimpse of Terry and Heather at the GLAAD Awards and their kids, and I love their family always. Like, I'm always happy to see them. And Alexis was present at the GLAAD Awards as well, and and somebody pointed this out that maybe she doesn't want to talk about that. It's not her place to talk about it. I agree. Obviously, if the kids don't want to discuss what's going on in their life, or Alexis doesn't feel like it's pertinent to share their life on TV, that's her prerogative. But I do think it would have done her a lot of favors with the audience and just for herself, as far as housewife standing goes, to have your own storyline to discuss these. If this is something close to you and close to your heart, which I'm sure it is, I'm not going to take that away from her. It would have been interesting to get to know more and to learn more about it. And she's willing to speak up a little bit, but not all the way. And again, if that's a choice to protect her kids, fine. I will shut the fuck up. That's not my place at all. I'm just curious how much she was actually willing to share on this topic. And if she would have gotten more into it, it definitely would have resonated with the audience better than what she's currently doing. But I don't know where that line is. Do you think that she's trying to hold back for personal reasons, or did she just not get into it?
I don't know. It's really hard to say because we haven't seen anything from her aside from the Shannon thing.
Right.
So that's really our point, and that's what we've been harping on for the last couple of weeks. It's not that we're accusing her of not talking about things, or make sure that you're a little more personal so that you can connect with the audience. Like, those things will come. All we're saying is shut up about Shannon already and stop blaming Shannon for bringing it up, because Shannon's not bringing it up. You're bringing it up. That's our only point. We're saying that there's so much room there. You were given another chance to come back to the OC show, and you have fallen so flat because you can't get off of the one topic that we're all completely tired of. It's so tone deaf. It's so stupid. You should have a better understanding of how things are going and move on. Show us anything. We don't care what it is. Just show us anything. And we thought that that could have been an easy layup because of what Heather was doing with her charity, with her fundraising, with all the things that's going on that apparently resonates with Alexis's life. That's an easy layup. And look, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But find something to talk about, because the Shannon shit is
get a storyline.
Yeah,
get something that's not derogatory every time you open your mouth. But we move on and we get an interesting scene. This was an interesting one because we get Katie and Tamra and their daughters, their daughters. And we knew that they were trying to get them to hang out. They have a similar upbringing, similar life situation. And that's Kaylee and Sophia. And they're candle making, and they want the kids to bond a little bit so they can be friends. It seems like they already have talked a little bit, so are friendly. I'm just curious as to the route Bravo's taking, because they both get a confessional.
I know.
Each of them get a confessional.
I called it out at the time. I thought, this looks like almost an interview to be on the Kids of Bravo show, or whatever the fuck that place is. Whatever that the Manhattan
or whatever.
Making Manhattan. Yeah. Like, it just seemed so weird.
It was so weird.
Have Kaylee sit down and start talking about how some guy that she was talking to was like, yeah, he told me he loved me in like a week and a half, then got really mad at me. It's like, okay, those are teenage problems, whatever. Go to a confessional. It's like, what are you doing here? Like, how did you get here?
I was so taken aback. Like, she goes to the confessional, and immediately after talking about the boyfriend, I'm like, are we going to learn about your boyfriend now? Like, and also, just whether you're 16 or not, however old they are, like,
I think they're 19.
Are they 19?
Yeah, I think they're both 19.
Okay, well, regardless of the age, if a boy tells you he loves you after a week and then gaslights you into trying to say it back, run as fast as you can. Don't give this boy the time of day. He's not worth your time, Kaylee. Get out of there. You don't need him. All right?
And he gave you COVID.
This fucking guy. But the one thing I'll point out, and I'll resonate with it very much so, is when Katie's talking about dropping her 14-year-old son off. He's living with the father, and that is something that's interesting with these two kids, is that they do have very similar kind of strange modern family setups, if you want to call them that, where The son's living with the dad in Georgia, so she has to put him on a plane every 4 times a year, I think she said, and she's talking about how unnatural it feels, and that hit me. Obviously, you know, Poppy lives in Texas, so like I go down there at least once a month, and she comes up here as much as she possibly can. But yeah, there is something extremely unnatural about saying goodbye to your kid for an extended period of time. So that I felt bad for her there, and I've honestly grown to like Katie. I think she really settled in well and pulled back on the reins enough to where now when she's a very good comedic relief confessionalist. Like she's got good moments where she kind of comes in and just like points out how crazy something is or how dumb something is. Like she's gotten good at that.
Yeah.
So I've learned to like Katie a lot, and I appreciate her family setup the way it is. But what I'm confused about is Sophia starts talking about her setup, right? And the shit that's going on. And Simon, Tamra's ex, comes up into the conversation. This is what drives me nuts with Tamra. In this moment, right? You're trying to rebuild your relationship with your kids. You're trying to rebuild your relationship with Sophia. For all intents and purposes, it seems that Sophia is on board. She's on the show. She's doing confessionals. That means she wants to be there. That means the relationship is clearly growing in some way, shape, or form. Good. Even though we hate Tamra, I don't wish ill will on her like that. I'm glad she has a relationship with her daughter. But in the same breath, you go, Simon was a terrible husband and a terrible father.
And I hate
him.
Dude.
And I hate him. It's like what are you doing? Like you take 2 steps forward, 10 steps back. You're shitting on her dad. She's sitting right here. Your other daughter, Sydney, refuses to speak to you because of stuff like this. This is literally what they talk about. And every time you've tried to bring up the father in the past to Sophia, she's always shut you down. And here you are again, forcing Simon into the conversation, forcing a negative comment in front of his daughter on TV when you've been asked multiple times by the same daughter to not talk about it. You've been asked by your other daughter who doesn't speak to you to not talk about it. And yet you cannot help yourself. I don't understand how she thinks this betters her in any way, shape, or form, whether it's on the show, whether it's in real life, or her relationships with her daughters. I don't get it.
No, I thought about the same thing too. And honestly, I'm going to isolate 3 of them at the same time, and we're just going to compare them side by side. Look at Jenn in the next scene with Dawson, talking about all of those things, being very open with Dawson because she doesn't want to lose that relationship, but she understands that having split parents is really tough. And if he wants to be with the dad, then he can be with the dad. I'm not going to love him any less. I'm still going to be your mom. Awesome. Great job, Jenn. You're really showing everything that you can this year. You're doing a great job. Katie in her confessional, talking about how she's dropping off her son 4 times a year, how hard it is to do that, how incredibly difficult it is. But she doesn't bash her ex. And from what we've heard in the beginning of the season, she didn't have a good relationship with her ex.
She doesn't like her ex. She hates her ex.
Really, really messy divorce. She didn't take a shot here. She just talked about the kids. Tamra can learn something from the other people on this show. Just don't do it, because people, us watching at home, we're not going to look at you and root for you if you're bashing your ex. If he's really horrible and it's in the tabloids and there's all these things going on, okay, fine. If it's a John Jansen-esque kind of guy, absolutely, we've got your back, because that dude's a scumbag. I just want to take a shot at John Jansen because he's not really
fuck Johnny J.
So I just want to rip after him. But still, there are ways to go about it, and the other 2 have done it really well and make us really feel for them. That's what makes us emotionally connected to you as a housewife. And Tamra doesn't do it. She thinks that what she does in her confessionals is going to help her out, but it's not. You look bad because we watched Sophia tell you multiple times, stop talking about dad, stop talking about dad, stop talking about dad. What do? As soon as you're done, you're talking about dad once again in front of other people. Sophia's not going to tell you to stop. You did at least stop a little bit. And then you go to confessionals and you bash them. Like, it's just so dumb. It's incredibly dumb to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's not winning anybody's favor. And that's, I guess, where I get confused. And I know that she leans into being the villain sometimes, but I don't get who that helps. It doesn't help your relationship with your kids. It doesn't help you on the show. It doesn't help your favor with the audience. Because I don't hear that and go, oh, fuck your ex. Like, what an asshole. I hear that and go, even if he is a piece of shit, like, all I hear is like, dude, your kid's right there. Like, why
do better by your
this?
Kids? Yep.
That's all. That's all. Yeah. But we get a quick glimpse of Shannon and Vicky in St. Louis, which is fucking hysterical. And especially since we've been in, similar atmospheres, getting ready for show in the show circuit. We've been in similar settings, like getting ready for shows, like in the green room, like all of that. So just watching them on stage beforehand, trying to figure things out with that fucking slingshot was hysterical. And all I could think of was how many times I've been in minor league ballparks and they use those slingshots for t-shirts and hot dogs and shit. How many times I've seen it go horribly wrong and somebody gets shot in the face from point blank. I'm like, guys, I don't think you understand the power of this slingshot. You could take somebody's head off in the front row. Like those things can shoot a hot dog from home plate to the 300 section in the nosebleeds. Like, this is a bad call. And the way that they got the idea was Vicky saw Adele do it when she shoots the t-shirt cannon. And that was Adele's response to people throwing things at musicians on stage at concerts. She bought a t-shirt cannon, which is fucking awesome.
It's incredible.
But this was the second time that Vicky alluded to being on the same level as Adele. Because when they walk up and people recognize them, she's like, we're pretty much Adele at this point. We're selling out shows so much. And I love the false confidence is amazing.
The false confidence is amazing. But I had a little bit of hope because I had the same thought that you did in the beginning. This is going to take that person in the front row is just going to get smashed by a t-shirt or whatever the hell it is that they're shooting out there. And watching them, they're never going to be able to get that thing to fire. So I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah, no.
They can't even hold.
Then I started to worry. You've seen the video of that, the woman trying to shoot the pumpkin slingshot and it comes back and hits her in the head. Yeah, that was what I figured was this. I was like, someone's getting reverse shot here. I'm glad they ended up.
That video should be popping up on our timelines pretty soon, given the time of year.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's almost spooky season.
Pumpkin season.
Pumpkin season is almost upon us, but we keep trucking. This is where we get to Jenn and Dawson, and not much to talk about here other than it's just refreshing to see. Again, she's owning up to where she fell short in a lot of these things. And at the same time, she's giving Dawson space to speak as to what his issues are. Do I agree with Dawson's issues? Absolutely not. He sounds like a spoiled teenager that needs to shut the fuck up and get home on time and stop breaking the rules. That's what it sounds like to me.
Oh,
but at the same time,
Trailblazer, you sat in Sally.
Wow, you remember Sally? Yeah, that was her name. That was the name of my Trailblazer in high school.
Your Trailblazer, and you just relaxed for a little while because you're like, I don't want to go home right now. I'm just gonna chill.
No, I picked you up and everybody else, and we went to the Tiki Trail and got drunk. That's what we did.
Yeah, maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe that's what he's doing.
Of course,
he doesn't want to cop to it. He's just saying, I like being at Dad's apartment because he just lets me like chill and play video games with my friends.
What that sounds like to me is he doesn't have rules.
He can't smell the weed on me when I come in high because he just gives me space. So it's kind of chill. It's pretty good, honestly. I just come back and play video games, watch movies, and Dad just leaves me the fuck alone. You know what it is.
He respects my space, Mom. Like, look, I get it. And again, like she set these ground rules in advance. She wasn't there to say, don't do this, don't do that. She let them do what they wanted because that's what she did. But I love the self-awareness, even if it comes late in life, in your 40s, whatever. She figured it out eventually. Like, this doesn't work anymore. I need to make sure my kids don't end up in the same spot that I am. And that's what I took from this more than anything. She was able to self-reflect and say, look at the spot that I've gotten myself into in my 40s. This is terrible. I don't know where my money's coming from. I don't know where we're living. The fact that you don't want to be in this house, I'm sure she's taking everything he's saying too deeper to heart. It can't be easy to hear, like, I don't want to live with you. But instead of lashing out, instead of causing a scene, instead of pushing him further away, she says, okay, you want to go live with your dad? Then go live with your dad. I respect that. I hope someday you come back here. But if you do, these are the rules. Like, we need to have these rules, not because I want to harp on you and not because every time we talk, it feels like I'm coming down on you. I'm doing this because I'm your mom and I want you to be better than me. I don't want you to be in your 40s like I am trying to figure out your fucking life because it's a shitty spot to be in. So the self-awareness meter is through the roof. And, I love that. That's my favorite when people are self-aware. So the fact that she's able to have this epiphany later in life is awesome. The fact that she's doing her best to imprint it into her kids is awesome. And the fact that she understands that, hey, he's a teenager. Like, he's well grown up at this point. Obviously, he's not a grown up, but he's got a lot of learning to do. But at the same time, you're not going to be able to implement all this shit out of nowhere and him fall in line. So I thought she handled it really well. Again, Dawson to me just sounds like a rebellious teenager. It's like, I don't want rules, Mom. Dad doesn't have any rules.
That's all it is.
And I want to go stay with Dad. Like, that's what we're seeing here.
That's all I
That's
saw.
literally all it is. That's all I got from it. But I do appreciate how she handled it. And at least, because look, from a parenting standpoint, all you're going to do is push him further away if you drop the hammer now. He's clearly not listening.
Yep.
So try that. Send him to his dad. See what his dad does with it. And hopefully he comes home. But I just appreciate what Jen's been able to do this season. Has been refreshing. It's been refreshing. But let's keep going. We get to Jen's party. And Gina is just fucking, and this is so small, but this painted the entire picture for me. She's just peanut butter and jealous of Jenn because she walks in and she's like, a confessional, like, you can make this work. Like, you've got a waterscape in your backyard. Like, you can make this work. It's like she didn't say she couldn't. She's trying to figure out her life, Gina. You guys all gave her shit that she was.
It's fucking Ryan's house.
I know that
house. I know.
I'm aware of that.
I was yelling at my TV when when Gina started talking about it because I'm like, this isn't Jenn now paying rent for another $35,000 a month house. This is Ryan's house that she's not paying for. It's somebody that she's probably going to marry if things go right and he doesn't lose all of his assets in this gambling situation. But yeah, back off, Gina. Back off.
I don't know why she had to throw that out there. I was like, this is not her house, as you said. 1, 2, yeah, she can make it work, and she's trying to. That she's not complaining to you about this situation. No, you guys are giving her shit for the situation. So now that you see the situation and you're upset because you just walked into this massive house with a waterfall in the backyard, and you're like, fuck you, Jenn. Like, that's all that was. Like, I didn't have, and that's all it is. Because when Gina was struggling, Gina actually had to struggle. And I respect that. And she worked her way to a good job, good income, taking care of her family. Crazy props to Gina. She's done a fucking great job. No one's taking that away from her. But in this moment, it's like, dude, not everyone's struggle is the same. I'm sorry that this is what her struggle looks like. Don't worry. Some shit's about to pop off soon that's going to make this struggle a lot different. But at the same time, it was just so funny. She had to take that shot. Like, she can make this work. It's like, yeah, dude, she will. She'll be fine here. But Alexis arrives, and just immediately the air was different about her. It was, I don't know what the fuck was going on, but as soon as she showed up, I was like, what the fuck? Something's off. Something's weird. I don't know what's going on. And the girls obviously acknowledge it, and they're like, what's going on? And Heather brings up the GLAAD Awards and was like, oh, it's great to see you there. Like, I'm glad you came. You should have brought Johnny. That would have been nice to see some support. And Alexis is like starting to break down a little bit. And she's like, I just want to thank you, Heather. What you do makes me feel like I can move forward in my battle. And this immediately struck a chord with me. I was like, oh no.
I thought she was talking about her family at first. And then I was really confused after. Yeah.
She certainly wasn't, because she's like, are you okay? And she's like, I'm exhausted. It's just been a long couple of days. She's skating around it. She's not saying, because she wants people to pull it out of her. She wants people to be like, Alexis, what's wrong? Are you okay?
Loves it. She
and
loves
instead,
attention.
She does. But the best part is everyone's like, what happened? What the fuck happened? Everyone's just screaming at her, like, just tell us what's going on.
If you saw, I don't know if you saw this, but Emily came out and talked about that scene specifically because a lot of people were laughing about her doing the wackadoodle, like calling her Looney Bin, all these things. But people started saying, like, why was everybody being so mean to Alexis during that? Like, no, Emily said that this went on for 45 minutes. 45 minutes and I'm not surprised by that at all, of Alexis just sitting there, not telling them what happened, just taking it all in, just taking all the attention and crying a little bit, taking a little bit more. Like, come on, you're fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and by the way, it could have been for 2 minutes and I wouldn't have had a problem with them snapping on her. Because of her behavior up until this point, she deserves no sympathy or empathy because she's been the driving force in her own downfall. This is all her fault. Everything that's being brought onto you right now is your own doing and Johnny J's doing. You guys did this to yourself. You can't back yourself into a corner and then go, oh, fuck, woe is me. That's not how the game works. And she goes into talking about what's wrong. And she says this legal battle. you're not involved. First and foremost, you have
Yeah.
nothing to do with the legal battle. So let's get that out of the way immediately. You have inserted yourself willingly into this because you thought it would make a good storyline for you and that you would some way vindicate your boyfriend's name. That's why you got involved in this vendetta. And you also don't like Shannon. So you saw what you thought was a layup to go try to take her down because you also saw the backlash that she had received on social media. So you saw an opportunity to come in here, pick the low hanging fruit and go after her with Johnny J as your backup, assuming the other girls are going to climb on board too, like Tamra tried to do. And even she's fallen off the wagon because she realizes it's a losing battle. And yet you have stayed on this path up until the point now where she's like, oh, fuck, this is not working. And now she's playing the card of, I didn't sign up for this shit. Now I don't know what to do. I'm in this spot. I met John too early. I told him we weren't supposed to meet yet. I don't want to have to deal with the baggage of your ex. And thank God for Gina's confessional where she's like, yeah, I understand the issue of having to deal with a crazy ex, but I walked away from it. You and John walked towards it. You welcome the chaos into your life, and then you want to play the victim card now because it's not going well. That's fucking crazy behavior, especially when you end it with, I don't know how to get out of it. Do I just walk away? Again, Alexis, you walked into this. You brought it on yourself. At every waking moment you've had on this show, you've brought this topic up. You've talked about Shannon. You've talked about how John got dragged. You talked about how it's now your fight and that you're going to win this shit. And there's nothing that Shannon can do because the truth is being brought to light. You've threatened with videos on multiple occasions. And I think what ended up happening as the video thing started to get more real and she started to realize, I think the big pile of shit she stepped in, that's when you see this reel back where she's like, fuck, we went too far. This is looking bad. I don't know what to do now. I'm going to rally my girls around me. Girls, I'm not doing well. Everything's sad. Everything's bad because of my current boyfriend's crazy ex. I need help. And all of them there are like, Emily speaks for all of us. This is fucking wackadoodle. And that's the perfect word. It's banana land. It's fucking crazy town. I don't understand it. I don't know which way is up right now.
No, it's absolutely insane. And she even goes into talking about how she wishes that she had met Johnny 6 months later. It's like, you guys orchestrated a plan to meet each other when you met each other. So you're not fooling us. Yeah, maybe it would have been nice if you guys met 6 months later, but John wouldn't be part of this. We'd hear about him in the beginning of the season. He'd probably still be suing Shannon for whatever reason, but we wouldn't be hearing about it every single episode.
For something.
It's for something. He'd find fucking something to get after her for, but we wouldn't be hearing about it every single episode. You wanted to insert yourself. You wanted a storyline. You did all of these things. What I took away from it seemed to be, crucify me if you want, everybody out there who supports Johnny J, I figured that John was getting on her case about whatever the hell's going on, that it's not working. Whatever's going on right now, we're not getting enough sympathy, and it's Alexis's fault. She looked like somebody who came in there that just had her boyfriend tell her, this is your problem. This is your fault that you're not doing this. That's what I got from it. I think she's laying a lot of the blame and he's putting a lot on her and not taking any blame for himself because he's a piece of shit. And Shannon's not responding the way that they had planned. They thought that by sending Alexis in there, getting under her skin, talking about it all the time, threatening all of these things, that she would crumble and she would just go ahead, pay all the money and not have to worry about anything else. And then he can still slander her in the press as much as he wants. But she's not backing down. And it's Alexis's fault. And Alexis is now all caught up and freaking out about this whole thing. But she's still not at the point where she realizes, okay, maybe I should get the fuck out of here. She's still part of it. She's got this like delusional syndrome going on right now, or like what's the Stockholm syndrome essentially, where she's just stuck and she thinks that she's in love with this guy, but she's not. You're being controlled by this fucking loser. So that's where she is, and that's what I got from all of this. But at the same time, it's still Alexis. So she still wants all the sympathy in the world. So she's going to do it in a crazy way. She's going to beg for people to be on her side and make things about herself, as she does a little bit later. It was crazy. It made no sense. I don't get it, because it's almost like she's looking in a mirror saying, how did you make me get here? And not realizing that she's talking to herself. Like, it's crazy.
That was a great breakdown. Honestly, I agree with that. I didn't even
think
like
Stockholm
that
syndrome.
Lens. Stockholm syndrome. It took you a second to get there, but I do like that.
You know what I was going to say was Munchausen's.
That's a little different.
I don't know why. I always mix the two.
Munchausen's by proxy.
Yeah.
No, but it's a good breakdown. I didn't even think of it from that angle, but that makes total sense. Like, I think
we saw Shannon do it for years. When Shannon would do something that John didn't approve of, or John was trying to push an agenda somewhere and Shannon wasn't with it, he would take it out on her, and then she would get drunk and call all of her friends and go crazy about it. And then this whole thing would just crescendo afterwards. So I think that that's the same behavior. It's just we're seeing it from a different perspective, where it's Alexis versus Shannon, and she's kind of melting down a little bit, but she's trying to get as much sympathy as she can because she's still Alexis.
Yeah, that astute breakdown, astute observations there, Professor Goots.
Astute or Magooter?
Astute.
Come on.
Fuck.
It's right there. It's right there.
No, that was a bad one. How did I miss that?
I don't know.
I'm getting slower in my old age, man. I'm not firing all cylinders anymore. That's a bummer. Astute or Magooter. Damn it. That'll come back at some point. But moving on, we get to Truth or Dare Jenga, which
was the trashiest fucking thing I've ever seen on TV. That was so gross. Like Tamra, by the way, Tamra's trailer trash. Fuck her. Like that's disgusting.
It was crazy to me. Like, that's my whole thing. Okay. Whether she was drunk or not for that. You want to give Alexis all of this shit. You want to give you want to give Shannon all of this shit. That's the second time I got them confused. Whoops. You want to give Shannon all of this shit for being a drunk, for being a mess, for being all blah, blah, whatever. You're putting a brick in Jenga on TV that says, show me your butthole.
Mm-hmm.
You pull a brick that says, take a pee in the yard. Also stupid. But still, Alexis, it says, take a pee in. Of course it was. Take a pee in the yard. You pop a squat on the poolside concrete and take a piss in front of everybody. You have your shit together. Shannon's the mess. You're taking a piss in front of 5 of your friends on pool tile next to the pool. That's disgusting. That's not funny. It's not good TV. I'm not like, oh, these quirky housewives. I'm like, dude, you just popped a squat and took a piss.
Disgusting.
Imagine that. Imagine I invite you to my house, all right? And we're having a good time, whatever. I got some people over, playing some silly games out back. We're on my patio that I worked my ass off to build, and someone pees on it. I would lose my fucking mind. I'd be like, what are you doing? Get off. Get out of here. You're banned from my home. And Jenn laughs it off, thank God. But Ryan, I hate Ryan. He's awful. But if I'm Ryan and I watch this back, I'm like, Tamra's no longer allowed in my home. She pissed on my pool tile. What's going on here? That's insane, bro. That's not like, how are we discussing this right now?
Starting to see what Simon was saying. That's for sure.
What the fuck was that, dude? That was
starting to understand why her kids don't want her on that fucking show. She's a nightmare.
You're peeing.
She's embarrassing.
That was exactly what it is. It's not like a funny moment.
Like, could you imagine talking to your friends afterwards and it's like, yeah, I saw your crazy fucking mom piss on somebody's pool. Like,
yeah, sick, bro. And here's to put it in perspective. People are like, oh, you're so hard on Tamra. Earlier in the season, I was at Emily. Somebody took a pee in a bush before instead of going into Katie's house. Tamra was involved, but I don't think Tamra was the peer. And even if she was the peer, I think we both were like, that's a veteran move right there. Yeah. Avoid talking to people and you take a pee out in the yard and then you're ready to go. Jump back in the Uber, get out of there. Veteran move. That's the difference. Like, we can acknowledge there's a time and place to take a pee in a bush for sure. Not on a pool surface in front of everybody in a well-lit area. Like, it's nothing. Like, she's sitting there like making eye contact. It's crazy.
No, seriously.
It's crazy, but whatever. We move on from that and we start talking about the fashion show and the drama between Heather and Emily. Briefly before we get there, because I just saw my note of it. Who do you hate? The devil. Fuck. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Are you kidding me? The devil?
Wait, hold on.
Really?
Before we go there, we have to go to the shady editing.
Okay.
The shady editing of talking about how Jenn just had a discussion with Dawson about how he's out late and he just sits in his car. And then they go into other kids that are also just around. I think whose daughter was it? Heather's daughter that came back at like 3 a.m. or something?
Oh,
whatever.
No, Katie's, wasn't it?
I don't remember who it was.
Oh no, it might have been. It was Heather. It was Heather.
It was Heather. Yeah. So
yeah.
So her daughter came home at 3 a.m. They get a brief discussion about how safe it is for teenagers to be out at 3 a.m. driving around.
Bro.
And they say, "Who's out at 3 a.m.?" And look, I will give it to the ladies. They didn't say Shannon. They just said drunks and DUIers. Bravo had to edit it to go right back over to St. Louis to show Shannon sitting there having a little bit of a shot. Come on. Just come on. Enough. Just enough. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, leave it alone, man.
Like you can edit TV shows, you can edit episodes up until the minute that you're sending it out. You did not need to do that. It's a completely different read right now. We are not on Team Tamra. We're not against Shannon. We're letting her heal. We're letting her get through things. Don't fucking do that.
Don't do that. And the other thing, like, I wasn't going to talk about it because I get tired of talking about this stuff, honestly. Like, as you know, like, because it's such a major proponent of my life daily. And this show, like, Bravo in general, when we've had so many substance abuse topics this year, that's like I'm starting to really kind of hit my limit. But I wrote it down. I was like, I just don't want to deal with it tonight. But yeah, even the term, like the way that Tamra says that, and this is a good, just for people out there, I'm not even dragging Tamra for this, just in general. When you say drunk with stank on it, believe it or not, it kind of sucks to hear. Like, it's not great because there's a lot of us out here that were and are, and like it's not fun. You know, it's like calling somebody a crackhead or a druggie or whatever you want to call them. Carries a lot more weight than you might think it does to everybody out there. Just a little, I know people are still going to do it by accident. I'm not like vilifying you if you're like, oh yeah, he's a fucking druggie.
Yeah, but it's crazy to say when you yourself are drunk right now, pissing
you
on
just
a patio.
took a piss on a patio, bro, and you're gonna make drunks are driving at 3 a.m. It's like just the word can carry weight, and the way you say it and when you say it can carry weight. So just keep that in mind, people. Not the end of the world, but just something to remember. But we get to the fashion show topic, and Emily brings it up to Heather and why it hurt. And what we're seeing here is obviously Emily's a little bit emotional. She's been drinking a little bit. So was it portrayed perfectly? No, she was a little bit amped up on the topic. But that being said, all she's trying to say, and I think she says a couple times, like, I don't think you did this to hurt me. But she's trying to explain to Heather so Heather understands, hey, you didn't think about it. I get that. But that's the problem. At no point did it register to you, oh, this might put her in a bad spot because she's worked so hard on her body, because she is dealing with body image issues. I need to make this the same for everybody involved so that I don't hurt her feelings, so I don't throw her off track, so that I just make her feel like a friend. That's what Emily's trying to say. Heather is so quickly dismissive and defensive and saying the classic Heather Dubrow, if I did that, I'm so sorry. If I'm so sorry. And Katie's confessional hits it on the head. And I think that this is the root of a lot of shit that Heather gets into. Heather gets defensive when she's not painted in the perfect light, is what Katie says. And I'm like, that's exactly it. The minute that Emily says she has an issue, Heather shut down now because there's no way you had a problem. That party was perfect. The fashion show went perfect. I didn't think for a second about excluding anybody. That was not intentional. That's not my fault. I didn't size the things. You sent the size measurements in. That's not my fault. And here's where I know that she is cognizant of it, because she does decide to take a dig in a confessional. By the way, that dress was tight because she's claiming the size 12 was too big for Emily. That dress was tight. It wasn't too big. It's like, see, so you are cognizant. You're aware.
She had the opportunity, by the way, on Watch What Happens Live to take anything that she said back. Andy said, would you take anything back that you said? An easy answer there is, yeah, maybe my confessional. No, just no. I got nothing to take back. No. Maybe I wish I would have heard her a little bit differently. Maybe I wish that I would have gone about it, but it was absolute chaos during all of that. So no, I didn't have anything. Like, no, that was bad. You saying that in your confessional weeks later makes us think that maybe there was some malicious intent in that.
Yeah.
Maybe you're still feeling salty about it. All Emily did was bring up her own body image issues, which she has been vocal about forever. And all she was trying to convey is, hey, there were some things that could have been done differently that would have made me feel a little bit better. And you know, this is what I've gone through in the past. Heather takes it as an absolute assault on her, an assault on the party, an assault on the designer. And she feels so pissed about it that she's still weeks later at her confessional thinking about it and still throwing shade. Like, no, you just don't do that.
Well, it's because she's instantly defensive. She refuses to hear what's going on. And somebody that claims to be so accepting and open and all these other things,
Exactly.
to not be able to have a conversation from somebody simply trying to explain and said multiple times, I don't think you're trying to hurt me. I don't think that's what this was. I'm trying to explain to you why, regardless of your intent, why it still stings, so that you don't do this in the future. You're more aware of how you handle certain things, because this fucked me up to the point that I was crying in the bathroom. And then she's condescending later when they go in the kitchen. She's like, this is about jeans. She's telling me that she had a meltdown in the bathroom about jeans. Yes, Heather, she is. That's exactly what she's saying, because she felt singled out in front of a group of women. Meanwhile, Alexis is wearing the same dress as her in a size 2. She's in a size 12. So that made her feel singled out. And that's when Alexis decides to take it upon herself to get involved and go, how the fuck are you coming at me? It's like, what are you talking about, you lunatic? She's not coming at you. She's talking about the event. That had nothing to do with you, nor did she take a dig, but she wants to get involved so badly. She's like, I'm at my lowest point, and you said, how dare you put me in a dress next to Alexis? That's not what she said. That's not what she said at all. She's like, I'm already broken. Who the fuck are you, lady? You did all of this.
I'm a broken little bird. Shut up.
I'm a broken little bird. You broke your own wings, you dipshit. Like, this is all your own doing. And now you're going to sit here because you realize your plan's not working. Or as you said, John Jansen's not getting the response he wants, and now he's put the onus on you. This is your fault. You're not conveying my message correctly. Go clean up my mess. Go clean up your mess, because you fucked this up.
Oh, yeah. He's putting it all on her.
Totally. And now she's backpedaling very unsuccessfully, and she sees an opportunity to be the victim again in this moment. Ooh, here's a chance to be the victim again. You're going to come at me? All I did was put the dress on. Yeah, dude, that's what she said. Everyone knows that. You have no voice here. You're not supposed to be involved in this conversation, and yet you continue to do this. And it's so fucking weird to me, and it all explodes. And that's when Emily's like, oh, fuck you. Go fuck John some more, you fucking idiot. And I'm like, boom, you just spoke for everybody.
Perfect.
That's literally what we were all thinking. And Alexis, once again, goes into the kitchen. She's talking to Tamra, and she's talking to her. They're all talking about the actual issue. Heather's venting because she feels defensive now, which she shouldn't be, but she is. So she's venting to Tamra, right? They're talking. Alexis, out of left field, not in the conversation. And then she wants to come at me? No, that never happened. You're desperately trying to stay relevant in the worst possible ways, top to bottom. You're posting things now where you're claiming bad edit. We're watching it. There is no bad edit here. There's no way that you can look at this scenario and claim edit. We're watching you try to insert yourself. This is your plan, which means that everything else you've been doing up until this point has also been your plan, and it hasn't worked. So now you're changing your tune. I'm the victim. I'm the victim. I'm the victim. I got brought into this crazy relationship that I wanted no part of. I didn't want to be involved in the in-between. I didn't want to deal with John's baggage, yet here I am. I have to deal with this legal shit. I just want to sail off into the sunset with John. Dude, you could have done that forever ago. You guys, we wouldn't be talking about it. You guys could sail off into the sunset. This would have been done on episode 2.
Easily.
If they had just kept it at John and Alexis have been dating. Boom. After episode 2, hey, let's not talk about it anymore. Shannon's here. See you later. Maybe it comes up later in the season. Instead, it's been everything that you've brought to the show. The whole season has been this one fucking thing. And now it's not working. Panic mode. Victim. Go fuck yourself, please.
You would think that she would have gone into the situation, by the way, not stressing about that night, because Shannon wasn't there. And we haven't really been talking. Like, we knew what was going on when you guys were in Sedona, whatever. Or Tacoma? Sedona? Where the fuck were they? Sonoma?
Tacoma, Sedona, Sonoma. That's a rap song right there.
That is a rap song. Somebody get Future on the horn. But yeah, no, she could have gone in there very easily again. And I'm going to harp on this because it's been like this the entire season. And there's articles out there now saying, has there ever been a more hated housewife person? Which she's not even a housewife, as Emily points out later. She's a friend of. So put some disrespect on her name. That should be a good one.
Put some respect on what a housewife means. You're a friend
and put some disrespect on Alexis. But
yeah,
she could have gone in there just easy, free, moved on with her life, talked about fucking anything else, talked to Heather about how important the other night was, talk to the girls, just have a good time. Maybe kick Tamra into the pool when she starts peeing. Like, that would be funny. That would be a great time. That's what I would have done.
Great move.
So yeah, no, you could have done so many other things, and you decide to go this route, which just makes us hate you even more because we're actually interested in what Emily's going through because she's sharing her personal stories, and you're trying to trump that by being an asshole. So that's what you're doing. But I do, before we end, I have to put my fashion correspondent hat on. Okay. You know that I'm the fashion correspondent hat?
Your fashion fedora?
Here's the thing with the sizing.
Wait, I'm going to buy you a fedora that just says fashion on it. And when you talk fashion, you have to put your fashion fedora on.
As long as it's a prop for the podcast, I will wear it.
It's solely a prop. It's not. I know you wouldn't be a fedora guy in public.
Oh, fucking hell no. But putting my correspondent hat on, if they sent all of their measurements out, or measurements, as I believe measurements. Yep. I want to hear how Gina says it because I'm sure it's fucking bonkers.
Measurements.
Yeah, I have no idea what she says.
Her measurements. I'll go take her measurements.
I gotta know what Gina says, but
that's my vote. Measurements.
If you're sending them out to a designer, why the fuck are their size numbers on there when they send it back? Just put a name on it.
Oh, it's a good point.
This is Emily's dress. This is Alexis's dress. Then there won't be any fucking issues. If the dress fits or doesn't fit or whatever, then you complain about it. Why are you putting numerical sizes on something like that? Especially given, everybody talking about body image issues, that it's going to make things worse. I don't understand that. So, to the fashion community, fuck you. How about that?
Oh, wow.
Strong words.
You definitely needed a fedora to say that. So I'll make sure.
I would have landed harder.
Or if anybody out there has like an Etsy shop that's listening and you do embroidering, I'll send you a fedora, and if you can just put fashion on it, FASHUN.
Yep.
Yeah. Fashion. Oh, fuck that. FASEAN. Fashion. We're back.
Not the government.
The government name only for fashion. That's what it is. The fashion corner. Wow. Yeah, I'm so glad I came. I'm back, baby. I was nervous.
You're back from a Studer Magooter.
A Studer Magooter I whiffed on, but fashion. We're firing all cylinders.
Oh yeah.
But we do not have questions tonight. But we will have more for you next week. So don't you worry. And we got lots of Mormon episodes, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives coming at you in the next 2 weeks. We'll be finishing up that show. And don't you worry. We got Salt Lake on. And then October 1st is Roni?
1st is Roni. And then
the 8th is Potomac.
Maybe, I don't know. One of those days.
Shortly thereafter is Potomac, and then Beverly Hills is after that. So we got it all coming back. So we're getting amped up around here in the studio, bro. We're getting ready to recap a lot, get you guys all of your content. The lull is over, everybody. So buckle up, bros. You got anything else?
Nope.
Well, bros are out of here.
Bye.